Sunday, 7:15 on Yorkshire, Scylla joins the Scouts for a special surprise.
What are we waiting for? Upwards, onwards. Open the door, lad. Lead me to him. Come on, let's go. Hello? Robert? Robert? Where's Robert? Hello, Robert. Robert, surprise, surprise.
It is indeed, yes.
Surprise, Sunday, 7:15 on YTV.
It's surprising how fascinating science can be, especially in Smith & Jones's world.
What on earth is this scientist doing? Is he manufacturing a pocket fire extinguisher? A new breath freshener?
No, he's just invented a spray that turns you into a children's television presenter.
Good evening. Tonight we are relentlessly probing the world of science and the scientist.
We'll be looking at some of this century's marvellous technological breakthroughs, and we'll be looking at some of this century's marvellous technological breakthroughs, and we'll be looking at... I think the teleprompter's buggered, actually.
Yes, well, it was probably invented by this genius.
This man is the classic scientist. As you can see, his brain is so big that it has to be strapped in. And he's characteristically engaged in a very dangerous experiment indeed, trying to read the collected works of Bernard Levin.
Now, like a lot of things you'll see this evening, we must warn you not to try that at home. It's very dangerous and you could die of boredom.
But we will be looking at scientists in happier circumstances, at the glorious moment of success.
Oh, we've done it. It works. Oh, Robin, isn't it wonderful? Bill, it works. It works.
Yes, after years of selfless dedication, this is all that remains of Tom Jones.
But for every success, there are 1,000 failures.
It seemed like a great idea, but the public just didn't go for the personalised Christmas illuminations.
As you can see, the price of failure is high. The inventor filed away forever with his invention.
No place in history for him. Unlike Professor Osmeroid here, who made a fortune with his prototype cartridge pen. Lasted for years, but you needed a trailer for your pencil case.
And everybody knows about Albert Einstein, who successfully invented relativity, before which Christmas was a much more enjoyable experience.
But what sort of man is the scientist today? Unfortunately, something like this. Patrick Moore, seen here in his back garden with the British space programme.
What are the main characteristics of the scientist?
In my last laboratory, I had a diastatic attenuator.
If you really want one, Dr. Turgenev, I can requisition for it. I didn't have one installed because I thought that you could use a polarized quartz condenser in the second phase of the Meyerhoff tube, and you'd get the same result, but with less trouble.
Maybe that's the way you'd go about it, Miss Chelford, but I prefer my own methods. Get me an attenuator, please.
It's your own attenuator, you pompous old physicist.
Yes, pomposity is one of the 3 P's of science. The other 2 are persistence and patience. Yes, well, you can understand how he feels. He's put 27 quid into that fruit machine, and the best he's had is 2 cherries.
And there's a lot of pain and suffering inflicted in the name of science. This poor assistant is being forced to listen to Radio 4's shipping forecast through 2 half-pound lumps of mozzarella cheese.
Yes, indeed, the role of the assistant can be a demanding one. Many scientists are sticklers for appearance.
You hit upon a new method of activation.
Yes, a little off the right,
How would you call it?
a little off the left, and would, sir, like some off the top.
Looking like that, I don't suppose there's much point asking Sir if he'd like something for the weekend.
But do watch out if your boss does shave your head, because there could be an ulterior motive. Yes, I thought so. Before you know where you are, he's turned you into a Space Invaders machine.
It's the contrast and the volume sorted out. Doesn't seem to have done much for the brightness, does it?
But you'll never get anywhere without selfless dedication.
Here is a molecular biochemist who's given his heart and soul to science, along with his legs, his arms, and his buttocks. And he's had himself fitted with a quite delightful fish tank.
But alas, such commitment can be taken too far. Not to be outdone, his assistant donated all his vital organs to science on condition that he was allowed to watch.
What a tragedy that he was short-sighted.
So, we've got the scientist and his neatly packaged amanuensis. All we need now is the laboratory. Before we can go into the lab, we must don our protective clothing.
Indeed, yes, Griff. And here there is a strict hierarchy. The leading scientists are issued with full insulated face masks, while the assistants must make do with national health goggles.
Right. Now we're ready to go into the lab.
Now, basically, there are two types of lab. Firstly, the bubbling lab, where the scientist sits all day watching things bubble, maintaining a constant supply of coffee from his percolator.
The other type of lab is, of course, the dials and knobs model.
Gosh, what a lot of dials and knobs there are, Griff. I wonder what they all do.
Well, it's quite straightforward, in fact.
Is it?
You see, the dials regulate the knobs, and the knobs sort of control the dial level.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
So he's twiddling his knobs, and that registers as a level on the, on the dial there.
Yes, I see. What does it register exactly?
Well, how much he's twiddled it, obviously, I see.
I see.
And with any luck, he'll be perfectly tuned into Radio Luxembourg.
Of course, life in the lab is not all glamour and excitement. For the most part, it is, in fact, quite routine. You're pottering about in your nightshirt and your bathing cap, doing a bit of inventing. And what always happens?
Doctor, I told you never to come into this laboratory when I'm busy.
Get him out! Get him out!
Yes, get him out, that bloody Nazi war criminal who lives downstairs. Wanders in wanting a game of postman's whip. Yes, indeed. The scientist has no time for larking around, no time for life's little pleasures.
I want you to be happy.
Professor Muller, shall I serve dinner now?
No, thank you. Send me a sandwich to the lab.
I should get a move on, mate. The sandwich is going to get there before you are.
So there you have the lab, the scene of so many inventions.
But to whom do we owe the invention of the lab itself? Sir Bernard Laboratory. Seen here outside his prototype modern lab. He's got the goggles, as you can see. And inside are all the usual dials, knobs, the wiggly line of electricity, the coffee percolator on the left there. And quite by accident, he invented the photo booth at exactly the same time.
Yes, many things are discovered by mistake, penicillin being the most famous example, but there are hundreds of lesser-known accidental discoveries. They were desperately trying to prove the quantum theory when they came up with the electric fan, closely followed by the hairdryer.
And that man's perm lasted for 7 years. Sadly, he only lasted about 4 minutes. But not all inventions happen by accident, obviously. Most take years of dedicated research and planning.
I want to.
Yes, Alexander Graham Bell's famous talking pencil sharpener.
Which invention led almost immediately to this.
Ask him the time.
Sir Thomas, Her Majesty wishes to know the time.
Tell Her Majesty it is now exactly 3 minutes past 9.
The speaking clock. Or as as it was known then, the mumbling clock. The difference in those days being that, firstly, Tim was known as Sir Thomas, and secondly, he called you.
The benefits that science has bestowed on us are manifold.
Yes, as Griff said, there's been lots.
The quality of our lives has been enriched through the efforts of these fine men and women.
Yep, things is looking up.
This young man on the right, for example, made the ultimate sacrifice just so that we could enjoy the benefits of the TV aerial.
Unfortunately, you have to dangle him outside the window to get Channel 4. These days, what is there left to invent? Now, take this couple here. Now, what are they aiming for? Cheese? A big light bulb, perhaps? Surely, not a cereal bowl.
Not a trace of anything.
Yes, they've done it. What a triumph. The invention of nothing.
And in the second half, we'll be looking at the camera. In much the same way as we did in the first half.
Shall I put the coffee on?
Wear what you like, but make me a lovely cup of Nescafe.
So, what's your impression of that?
There's only one Nescafe, specially blended and perfectly roasted for that richer, smoother taste.
Now, that's something no one can imitate.
Nescafe. Coffee at its best.
Nescafe always gets top marks.
I bet he drinks Carling Black Label. Oh, the next bloke through that door.
Watch out! Give us a pint of aftershave. Whew.
Straight glasser?
Your best bet for a fuller flavour.
The Volvo 340, tested by dummies, driven by the intelligent.
It's just what we're looking for.
We'll have to hurry. There'll be other people after it.
We've seen this place we'd like to buy.
Yes, but we need a mortgage quickly.
Well, I can give you a good idea of how much you can borrow straight away. And we'll confirm it in a few days.
If you need a quick decision on a mortgage, come to Barclays.
I've got the mortgage.
At first, I could not understand the terror in Sano's eyes. Then I knew. I had been transformed into something terrifying.
Yes, a Japanese tourist.
And is this the man who invented the Japanese tourist?
Or perhaps he's just come up with the individual butter portion.
Or the edible cardigan.
Or perhaps the disposable cocktail cabinet.
No, in fact, he's just heard how much the government are awarding him for his research grant.
No public money at all went into this project.
What you are witnessing is the testing of the very first 45 revolutions per minute popular music disc. And the record company reps listen attentively. What's the verdict? Fantastic. Well, I don't know. I was going to give it a. It's a catchy tune, but the lyrics need a bit of work. You probably actually recognise that song because it was recently covered by Zig Zig Sputnik.
Talking of complete disasters, this was a very interesting idea indeed for a proposed launderette that washed you as well as your clothes. A fantastic concept, you might think, so why on earth did it fail?
41.
Well, it's very interesting. The wash cycle was absolutely fine, but unfortunately, the spin drying caused you to throw up all over your clothes. Still, it was almost impossible to lose your socks.
But even when you've made a genuine breakthrough, things can still go wrong. Here, a man who's just learned to fly tragically bumps into the man who's just invented the rifle.
Well, nobody likes a smart ass, do they?
But of course, where flying's concerned, there is always an element of risk.
Don't move. Where's Graber?
But the risk can be minimized with access to the latest equipment. Let's just look again at that state-of-the-art aerial technology, shall we? There we are, on, off, up, down, fast, slow. The Duchess of York backpack.
Figure out what's wrong with these instruments. They're acting crazy. It's getting awfully warm. Look! Never seen anything like that.
No, neither have I.
That's a UFO, I think, Griff.
Is it really?
Yes, an unbelievably fatuous object.
Yes, strange phenomena. The scientific term for which is strange phenomena. For example, no one has yet found any reason for these. Or indeed, this lot. Tomorrow's world team. They can explain everything to us, except how they got the job in the first place.
But to the male scientist, the strangest phenomena of all are women.
Yes, and in the lab in particular, the male-female relationship is rarely successful. Even the husband and wife team of Mr. and Mrs. Louis Pasteur finally fell out over who was to administer that first vaccination. Despite the animosity, they went on to qualify for the regional finals of Come Dancing.
The male scientist can, at times, be disgracefully patronising.
I still think this is no trip for a woman.
Now, don't start that again. You'll be very glad to have someone along who can cook your meals.
Yes, cooking, that's what the female scientist's good at. I mean, who will ever forget Madame Curie's turkey vol au vents?
Socially, the male scientist's attempts at impressing the girls can often be woefully inept.
Leela, you can have the accelerator this afternoon.
Thanks.
On Tuesday, you can have the clutch, and who knows, by the end of the year, maybe you have the whole car.
But the little woman has brought a sense of style and fashion into life in the lab.
Here, Kiki models the latest off-the-head psychedelic lab lounge hat with optional antennae. £13.95 from most leading stores, batteries not included.
Perhaps where science has benefited us most is in the home.
Look, darling, you just turn each dial to the letter which is given in the recipe.
Then you press this knob, and that's all you have to do.
It's a compact little gadget, isn't it?
And it really does slice tomatoes to perfection. Advances are being made all the time. In communication, it is now possible to flash vital information across the world.
Hello, Laura.
Hello, darling.
I shall be home in 10 minutes. Is dinner nearly ready?
Not nearly, but in 10 minutes it will be.
Got something good?
Something extra good. Betty's coming. Why don't you bring another man along to make up the party?
Everybody's gone. Except Gribble.
Bloody Gribble. Always hanging around on the off chance of a TV dinner.
And the progress in travel is equally impressive. Here comes Gribble. What a fantastic landing.
A sneak preview there of the Sinclair C6.
But at times the cost of progress can be high, particularly in the area of animal research.
If you experiment with animals, you do so at your own peril.
You're a man of science. What would you do if a guinea pig got out of control and threatened to ruin one of your experiments?
Answers on a postcard, please.
Inexplicably, when things go wrong, animals tend to get larger. This is known technically as...
Jesus, will you look at the size of that?
Yes. Look at these once timid battery chickens. One of Bernard Matthews' experiments that went horribly wrong. Yes, beautiful. And if you think that's big, you should see the size of the basket it's served in.
Of course, animals aren't the only thing that can be transformed into horrific monsters.
No! Yes, yes! It's the wild and fearsome creature known to us all as George Best.
Poor old George, completely plastered again.
Oh, what about this one?
In a few moments, your features will turn into a deformed being with the characteristics of an animal.
Well, thanks very much, Doc. Should improve my chances of getting a seat in the cabinet, anyway.
But even more horrible than that. Yes, the deadly man-eating safe.
Who needs a burglar alarm when you've got a safe that's a karate champion?
Danger is a constant factor in the world of science. Even inventing something as straightforward as the sparkler is fraught with difficulty.
But fortunately, there is no shortage of men willing to risk their lives in the name of progress.
I want to be one of the first 2 human beings to go around the moon.
It means danger. Great hardship, anyhow. You realize there's an even chance of never coming back alive. A still greater chance of coming back a cripple.
Give me credit for not minding that, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yes, a lot of you young people don't mind that.
Yes, he's got the right stuff. Squeaky plimsolls, sheer stockings, and a fetching pair of off-the-shoulder fitted curtains. Science is a perilous business, and at times the danger affects all of us.
Yes, one lax moment with the chip pan and all over the kitchen floor.
Actually, Mel, this is the nuclear bomb.
I'm sorry.
Not a fit subject for comedy. But what the hell? Yes, the threat of nuclear destruction hangs over all of us. But fortunately, science has taken to the task of protecting us with its customary sophistication and diligence.
Super hyper double protection desks are now commonplace. For those with money, there's a box. Or simply drive away those nuclear blues.
No nuclear winter's going to stop him getting to that fancy dress party.
But what of the future?
Let's take a little glimpse at the wonders of tomorrow. There will, of course, be fully automated post boxes. Don't Don't worry, mate. It won't mind if you don't have any letters.
Which is more than can be said for this lot. Yes, dispatch riders will still be with us, but much better dressed. But sadly, the January sales will be worse than ever. Here's Harrods' scientific hardware department. The rush is on, and they're doing tremendous business. In fact, the cashier just can't keep up. Sale fever strikes as everyone fights to get their hands on the cut-price Black & Decker electric toothpicks.
But perhaps most surprisingly of all, toilets will be transparent. Not only that, but they will also have philosophical conversations with you as you sit there.
They keep on inventing new things now, don't they? And making life lovelier and lovelier.
Lovelier, yes. And bolder.
Lovelier and balder. Well, there we are. The future will not only be lovely, but also bald.
Well, that's one thing to look forward to, I suppose. How best can we sum up the future? Let's leave the last word to Mr. Gribble's fancy woman.
Plenty of time for play. Woman's place was in the home, but now she's out all day. She used to sweep and scour and scrub and light the fire and mend and rub, then do hard labor at the tub. But now she goes to the ladies' club and there's plenty of time, plenty of time, plenty of time for play.
Yes, there we are. The one great thing about the distant future is that
at least we'll all be dead.
Good night.
Good night.